We now have in the grand final God King Serral, who is awaiting the opponent from this match. As someone like Classic, the last Protoss on an absolute crusade through the galaxy, is looking to eradicate one of the last Zergs to actually terrify and tantalize. But will he be adorned with the skulls of the Zerg moving through into the grand final in the desert? Or will the desert be swarmed over as Solar tries to reign supreme? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our next semi-final here. Falcons goes up against Virtus Pro as we figure out who is going to be able to make it. I am so pumped once again for our next semi-final here. It will be a best of 7. Joining me, I have our toasters as well as State to talk about this one. State, this is going to be a
let's
good
go,
one.
baby. Let's go.
Solar versus Classic.
Actually, we'll hear from the
Classic,
boys.
who has been the defensive macro Protoss ever since
So
the patch was
something I'm really looking forward to when it comes to this series, I said this before, and we'll just reiterate it once again, and then we can even, I guess, echo Solar's sentiments. If anyone's going to be Serral in this tournament, in my mind, it's Solar. Solar, he has a winning record against Serral. Solar, he has some killer ZVZ. I do favor Solar over Serral more so than Classic, but I don't know if he can get there is the thing. Like, even though I do think that Solo will have a really strong showing against Serral, he has to get through Classic first, and Classic has been looking terrifying as of late when it comes to his PvZ. Now, something that I found really interesting and I really appreciate from the interview that I didn't know is that apparently they're practice partners. Apparently Classic and Solar are practice partners, and apparently, based off of what Classic said, they actually they trade and they go back and forth in the series, which I find really interesting, just because Classic's style of PvZ is so different to Heroes, where Classic is the defender, right? He's like the new stats. You know, he's like the Shield of Ire, where he's hyper defensive, he's a little more late game oriented, a little more macro oriented. Meanwhile, what is Solar? Solar's very all in. Solar's very cheesy, he's very all in, he's hyper aggressive in this matchup. So we expect to see all ins out of Solar, and in my mind, I expect to see Classic survive that. So I feel like Solar has to take a different approach. I feel like we need to see a different approach out of Solar, but I don't know if he has that much like depth to his builds in this matchup. That I'm not so sure about. We'll find out. We're here to find out. Hearing from Classic that they trade, though, that they do go back and forth, at least instills in me a good feeling of a series, of a back and forth, of not something one-sided. Hopefully, you know, game 5, game 6, game 7. We'll see.
Probably would not have pegged to potentially become the world champion. However, Artosis, when I look at this, if he's able to somehow get past Classic, I think he's actually got a really crazy chance of being able to defeat Serral. We heard it in the interview just then as well. He believes that he has a good chance against Serral in that Zerg versus Zerg dogfight.
Yeah, I mean, ZVZ is pretty volatile. I still give the edge to Serral there, but Solar could do it. Like, he would probably be the scariest opponent for Serral. I think a lot of people would probably agree with that, but you got to get through Classic first. And Classic just hasn't been a slouch at all. You know, he is someone that I expect to beat every Zerg. Maybe Serral can take him out like he did earlier in the tournament. But I think that his defense here is going to be so difficult for Solar to deal with.
Short predictions before we go on him.
Oh, I got to give it to Classic, man. I would say probably 4-2. I think Solar is going to steal a couple maps, but yeah, defense is going to win.
Short one.
It breaks my heart to have to agree with someone on the couch, but yeah, 4-2 is what I see. I see it in the future.
Well, we double hexed him now.
Yeah, well.
I think I'm also leaning towards 4-2 for Classic.
Semi-final here. The one remaining Protoss will try and challenge Zerg for dominance here at the Esports World Cup.
But I want to be proven wrong. Let's go.
Welcome back to the S&B Esports Arena for our second semi-final. Both our players are hungry for their own world champion title. But that's not all that's at stake in this next head-to-head.
That's right, Seltzer. Club championship points on the line. Pride and representation of a nation on the grandest stage of all. Make some noise for Falcons, Solar, and Virtus Bros Classic.
Every time.
A veteran of the stars, the final flame of Protoss. While others have fallen, he stands alone. The last hope of Ire. Experience forged in war. Legacy carved in time. Can he carry the weight of a race on his shoulder?
And Falcon Solar, acquired for this year by Team Falcons, Solar represents their best chance for an essential first place finish thus far in the EWC Club Championship. But Solar has his own goal to strive for here. Let's see who comes out on top. Casters, take it away.
So I don't know if you noticed, every time Sandstorm does a player interview, sorry, a player intro, he has to look at his like notes at his cards just before he says the name, and a couple of times he's almost said the wrong name. like that's why he drags out like and Team Falcons, and then he quickly glances over Solar. It keeps happening. It's just something that I've noticed. We love Sandstorm. We love him.
He has been able to win a DreamHack. He won an SSL, but he has never crowned himself the official world champion of StarCraft 2. And what to think of Classic. What a pickup that has been, by the way, for Virtus Pro. They're like, you know what? We'll get a StarCraft guy as well. And look at him in the semifinals.
Who do we have? Ruddy and Wardy, I think.
He's won GSLs, of course. He has won an Intel Extreme Masters, but he has never crowned himself the world champ of StarCraft 2. He is the last remaining hope of that green wave that, I have to say, never really caught a whole lot of momentum, Wardy.
Yeah, that green wave was more of a green little paddling
What if
pool.
it was a meme? I noticed too. Well, I mean, I don't blame him. He's not like he's not endemic to StarCraft. Like he's not like this is not his game. He's I think they mentioned it before. He's a was it Clash Royale? Like Clash Royale, like he's a host for a different esport. So like this isn't an esport. So I don't blame him at all. It's just something I've noticed.
Not too long ago, and I'm sure that Classic has already looked at those games and be like, you know what? If I just don't do X, Y, and Z, perhaps it goes a little bit better. I think they're both going to be scary opponents.
He always does the pause. Well, he does the pause and he looks at his notes to read the player name. So he's not just pausing. He's actively looking over to read his notes to figure out who it is.
He had an incredibly strong period a little over a year ago where he was just winning indeed a lot of them, 2-1s, 1-0s, like a little short series. Very rarely was it like an all-out best of 7, but Solar is incredibly dangerous in those shorter series in ZVZ, but we'll talk about that later. What do you think of this ZVP, Wardy?
But it's all good. It's his first time emceeing a StarCraft tournament, so it's fine.
Much this means to these guys. These are not dudes that started playing StarCraft a couple of years ago, and here they are. They just happen to be very talented. No, they have put in like a decade of hard work, and for them to sit here on this stage, like, I'm nervous and excited for both of them. And I'm like, I want either, but to be honest, I don't even know who I want to win because they both have incredibly cool stories. Solar has been a
I'm glad they have Roddy on for the Classic series. I think I said this yesterday. I did really like the Rotterdam Tasteless duo that they had for Classic Clem. I think that was a good choice.
Such a fun dude, such a gem to the community. And then, of course, a Classic, giving all the Protoss players hope. He's been around for so long as well. He's had one of the coolest moments ever in StarCraft 2 history, where a bunch of DTs
here, because I have Wardy and Rotterdam for Classic versus Solar. I'm a little bit concerned that they're going to have Tasteless and Artosis for the finals. But we'll see. We'll see.
Because there is a third place decided this year at the Esports World Cup. Lots of money on the line there, lots of points in regards of the club reward.
We'll see how they pair up the casters.
I'm sure that Team Liquid will be rooting for Cure, and whoever loses here, they'll still be rooting for the third place. I'm personally a fan of third place matches. Like, I don't think we should always do it. It doesn't have to happen at minor events, but I feel for what is considered to be the biggest event of the year, you should be proud of a bronze medal. You should have the chance to fight for a bronze medal. I think it's silly where it's just like, well, you lost in the semi, so third, fourth, whatever. It's like, no. Give them one more match, and it also, of course, allows the other guy that won the second semi-final to take some time off and give it some thought before their grand final. So overall, I'm excited. What a day it is going to be, Wardy, and what a series this is going to be. Solar looked insane against Hero, and of course, Hero looked like Hero.
Yo, we're gonna pass the ball?
That first game, I don't think Classic
Jesus.
looked at that build and says, you know what, that's pretty cool, I should give it a shot as well. Even though I wonder, with a quicker battery, perhaps that would have worked. Either way, let's get this party started. A best of 7 between our Protoss and our Zerg.
In the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to start things off with our red Zerg rogue player. He is, of course, representing Falcons. This is Solar.
Oh, let's go. He's got a cheerful.
Energy is big. In the top right side of Torches, I'm already a little bit surprised. We'll talk about that soon. We are looking at the main base of our Korean Protoss representing Virtus Pro. It's Classic.
And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series.
This best of 7.
Oh,
Solar is going to take the gold in the center of the map, but he's going to take it on the quote-unquote wrong side because he's expanding towards Classic.
He's going for the
but
gold.
Classic, is he anticipating this play from Solar?
No.
Because he went pylon gateway on the high ground body. Who the hell goes pylon?
Cannon rush.
Oh my god, let's do it. Let's go.
What a start to this series. The Forge comes down in Classic. He is going to notice what
He can hard counter. He can cannon rush the gold. He can cannon rush the gold base.
Hatchery. It is on, like you say, the wrong
We've seen
side.
this
That's
on
easier
maps
for Classic
before.
to access in some
On
ways
Akione.
further down the line. In some ways, it's easier for Solar to defend if this got to a point of
Wow,
mining.
the
That's
hard
a heck of a
read.
pylon as well. So this base is in
Jesus.
trouble right from the very get-go. Cannon's going to be coming up soon, and the Zealot is already out.
So again, if you've been watching StarCraft, if you watched, I think it was 2 seasons ago, Alkione was a gold base, also a very similar setup on the map with the golden wall, with the gold base as well, and we would often see cannon rushes to punish gold bases.
Can we walk it in?
Oh my
Yes,
God.
we can. That is an incredibly well protected cannon with very little surface area. It is, however, just a single cannon.
True.
How much can a
Only
single
one.
cannon get done?
A very good question here. The drones get a few mines up with the gold, and then
And he get a
they
second
start
cannon.
head away
He's going
elsewhere,
for
'cause
it.
They could mine to the top side and mine out the gold minerals on Classic side and open that
Does get the
passageway.
second cannon.
Classic going to double down and cannon on the other mineral
He's
line
all
as well.
in.
Ling's coming up. Ling's
He's running
starting.
past.
What can we do as a Zealot enters the main base and nothing here to play defense?
Nope, there is nothing. How good is that drone micro? Great job there by Classic. Immediately putting that Zealot between the mineral patch and that gas to make sure there is very little surface area for the drones and the Zerglings to do their thing. No queen on the production.
Defensive
deck here,
cannons
by
back
the
at
way.
home.
That's actually going to be very annoying. I do think, by the way, that Classic
Question
quickly
mark?
needs to either wall this off or get a cannon on top of his ramp. Because
no,
I have
it's a
the feeling
third
that
cannon.
Solar is going to ignore this, and he's just going to try to get into the main base of Classic. And right now,
We need
Classic
cannons back
has
at home.
nothing there. What? This could get
Where are the
close,
cannons?
because that's a lot of Zerglings.
Where are the
I'm sure
cannons?
Classic is going to try to
They're late.
re-wall, adapt 50%.
Late
Don't
cannons.
guess it is going to work out for Classic, but this is still going to be a bit
I
scary.
thought the third cannon was back at home.
We'll start to deal some damage.
This
Those
third
Lings
cannon's
will
not
then
doing
get
anything
pushed
here
away
across
in
the map.
theory as the cannons take down this hatchery. This is a massive investment, but Solar
Yeah.
has so little follow-up.
Okay.
Still in trouble.
We need to wall off again, and we so far have successfully done it. If I was Classic, by the way, I really wouldn't hate a single cannon on top of this ramp. You know, I guess it's a big investment. I kind of wish he would have cancelled the third cannon, by the way, below those.
Yeah, you can see Roddy, he's along the same lines. Like, I'm shocked that there was a third cannon across the map, and it wasn't back at home instead.
Because
that third cannon, it's not really achieving too much.
Showed up at the bottom side of that mineral line, got a backup cannon. The third one, though, massive overkill. It really didn't add anything.
Yeah, absolutely unnecessary. I'm with you. I don't think those Lings were ever going to try and
what
make
is there
the
as
move
well?
to save that base because you already invested so much there. As a Zerg, it's better just to let that go down most of the time. And that's exactly what Solo went for as well. So I'm with you. Maybe that cannon didn't need to come through. Now we're in this weird state where the game kind of normalizes a little bit, but of course Classic has to wait a while before he can expand. So Solo gets his own expansion down, and at the end of the day, who
This
do we
is a
look
big
for?
investment.
Normalizes is a funny term when we have a bunch of cannons randomly in the center of the map. Classic is still on the high ground. It's got a bunch of adepts sitting here, one base setup, a temporary third gateway on the way, and a Stargate, all of one base. Like, if Classic had a second base, or at least the opportunity to quickly...
Okay, who do we... Oh, he's going! Let's go!
I love that. That is so smart.
This
'Cause I
is really
was
smart.
wondering, I was like, man, it's
This
going
is
to be a
so
bit
good.
annoying for Classic to expand, actually.
He's going for the goal.
Solar is going to check it. He's going
He's
to see
crazy.
it now. He turns around immediately, but that's going to be hard to break. That is such a clever base for Classic to take here. I love it.
It just has a static defense on it already. I mean, crazy play, but it's a lovely play. And now he will have some adepts that can move from there.
He's
and
crashing into
gonna
a
throw the
flash.
fleet beacon down as well as we are
He's
just
going
going
for
full
the
chaos here on
Tempest.
torches. Oracle coming through, wants some drones, gets a couple into the main base. It goes. Sporkroller is around, and the Oracle doesn't
He's
want to take too
crazy.
many more shots. Already low on the HP bars.
Este
Does
Classic.
Get out, as of course you want to keep that alive as throughout this game. It helps a lot. But that fleet beacon, Roddy, is taking
But yeah,
on
winding it back, we were criticizing his third cannon here that was posted across the map at the gold, but to finally actually make use of this position to take that third base for his own is really smart. It's a really good way to make use of these cannons already. From here, going into a fleet beacon, going into Tempest production is wild as well. But specifically on this map, the rush distance by air is short. Short rush distance by air.
So what people often do is buy some time with queens and stuff, but Solar just has very little to work with. Does see the recall go down. It's very important for Solar
Does he
that he
scout?
gets this scout, and he will
Yeah.
see the fleet beacon.
Big scout.
We don't even have a lair yet, so he's going to fire that lair up immediately. This is going to be annoying. I guess the only nice thing for Solar is that Tempest are not exactly known for their speed. They're not the quickest units in the game, so a Tempest being built in the main base of Protoss, it's going to take a little while before it reaches the bottom of the map and it can actually start attacking those drones.
Kind of like he's talking about like the length or the time it takes to get across the map, but as we were mentioning, torches, the rush distance by air is really short rush distance by air. So even if there wasn't the goal base here, it wouldn't take long at all to get across the map. The goal base is going to allow for an outpost, a staging ground for the Tempest to push in towards the main base as well, as you can push forward and even expand even further towards the Zerg.
I'd love to see it in the bottom left side of the natural, basically where the observers are looking at right now. I would love that Solar is spreading a lot of creep towards this goal.
Love the classic positioning, more extreme cheese builds. I would push back against that. As a reminder, the build that Classic went for was a hard counter to the gold base. This is why I was making reference to Alcyone previously. We have seen this similar or this same dynamic on Alcyone in seasons past, with players like Classic and Hero up against Zerg players that rush into the gold.
I like that call.
So this is just a hard read of what Solar was going for. The only reason why he went for the counter rush was because he was expecting Solar to rush into the gold.
The Tempest still nearby can definitely get some shots on that as we kind of play this game of just.
Basically, like he just read Solar like a book. It's crazy.
Don't want to take too many Tempest shots. We'll lose the Ravager there, but the transfusion is good. And that will keep said Ravager alive. As a few Lings poke the other side, that's still a funky position for Classic to be playing from. Extra gates coming down. Of course, we're now not that far from the Spire being up and running for Solar to get those clusters on route.
What a beautiful wall, by the way, for Classic on top of the ramp, entering his main base. This creep makes it so scary, by the way, for these Tempests to go deep. Solar has done a really good job in just making it a bit uncomfortable for Classic, giving Classic a lot of things to worry about. His probes, his
so
cannons,
got 3 Tempests.
His wall at the top of the ramp.
Sorry, 4
Classic knows that Solar is just doing this to buy a whole bunch of time. This is where at least a few of these queens should go down. The first one has gone down. The second one will fall. Classic spots another low HP one. That one has not quite done yet. Actually, he did get it in the end, so that's -3 queens. Very quick, but 7 Corruptors on the way. You know, it'd actually be, I want to say, kind of a cool place, maybe Void Rays here as support. When we look at the work account, Wardy, 50 drones against 33 probes. And yes, there is a gold, but that's really
those 8 Corruptors are going to be huge.
Massive.
Solar needs more time.
I'm a tiny bit worried for
Almost
Classic.
there.
He doesn't have a +1 for the ground unit.
He needs to get out of here like now because these Corruptors are going to be able to dive the Tempest very shortly. And those Tempests are not going to have a good time. We're going to hide them back. We're going to pull them in now, and this is where Classic has to respond. He's going to drop the recall, but we will target one down. One of them there did not get recalled. It's going to try and run home. The Corruptors will play the chasing game. As Roach Speed finishes, we got 9 drones in the end here. That helps with the work count, but of course it's not going to fully solve the issue.
That's a lot of Stalkers.
Yeah, I guess that's going to be the main play here for Classic. Just a lot of Stalkers.
Yeah, the ground
he does not have Blink, but what he does have
just like on Alcyone, true.
We've got a Sentry in the mix.
Going for the ground switch.
Lost a lot of his basic units, so he made a big investment in getting out all these Corruptors. He was forced, of course, to build those Corruptors, but right now the real threat is not in the skies, but it's on the ground.
Yes, it is. The drones are going to pull a few Lings, a handful of Roaches. It's really not a lot for Solar.
The Corruptors that didn't shoot down.
To deal with this, it is an upgraded gateway unit, so you don't have the efficiency of the Blink. The drones are doing a great job tanking him for now. It is looking as though we are getting this pushback. Classic is having to step away, and Solar is defending.
Creep making all the difference here. These Zerg units are so much better on creep than they are off creep. It just allows them to get in range, get on top of these basic gateway units, and Classic, of course, not having the luxury to blink those units back. It allowed Solar to take a pretty decent fight. The only downside for Solar, they are losing all the Corruptors. I still think most of the threat is obviously on the ground, not in the sky, but it is kind of annoying that we don't really have an answer anymore for these Tempests. But look
lack
at
of Blink
these
is hurting.
Go.
Getting on some of the Stalkers.
Thinking, man, if I want to make something of this game, I'm going to need to get a Twilight Council. I think you should drop it immediately, Wardy. I don't believe you can win this game anymore without Blink.
He has no longevity in this game without a Twilight Council, and there it is coming down right now. Blink is going to be the efficiency in the way.
As I'm mentioning, this Twilight Council is late here from. I mean, the second Stargate does hurt. That's one of the reasons why there was no Twilight Council.
Now, and there's still an opportunity for Solar to break through onto this gold base, perhaps. So that's going to be Classic's woe for the next few minutes here as that Twilight Council finishes, Blink starts, and gets Chrono boosted the heck out.
No shield battery there, right? Because that Tempest was flying. I was wondering if it was going to get healed up, but it's just cannon. Yeah, there's one battery. It's so far back, so it helps you on the north side, but not very much on the south side. I'm very worried for Classic, his position. It's just, it doesn't look very hot. He has not done a...
Yeah, as I mentioned, like Classic is just not scaling well into the mid game. Like coming into the mid game here, he has no blink. He only has +1. Forced to cancel the third. Oh god.
He would attack with 10 stalkers.
Brutal.
A couple of adapts as the doors are open. Solar didn't quite go for it. That would have been a great play, by the way. Now he sees it, but he knows that the stalkers are nearby.
Went behind. Dark Shrine.
This is actually a good old went behind go Dark Shrine. You know, there's a lot of Dark Shrines these days that you just get for a bit of map control, a little bit of harass, some vision. Sometimes it can help you to push something back. This truly is a I am behind and I need a miraculous comeback. Why not try to get it done with the invisible
We all have the
guy?
same lines. What's happening?
What's the trouble that he's in? These probes are very near to having to give up on his gold base. That Nexus here has not been finished. It got cancelled once already. And we are just in a world of trouble. These pylons are going down and Solar's army's looking great. 92 to 44 army supply. The gateway units are nowhere near what they're meant to be.
Roddy's listening to the stream.
Because that blink does not exist still. Feelings are going to check if that opening's there, but Classic has filled it for now. I don't think we're far off. Solar having a great time outside of maybe those DTs.
I'd love to take a little look at the third base of Solar. Does Solar have a sport wallet there? No, I don't think so. That wouldn't really make a lot of sense. He wasn't worried. I think he lost most of the spores as well that he had in the front. Right now, DTs could help out defensively as well. But
the Dark Shrine's not ready.
Right here, right now, Waddy. He's down 50
He's going for it.
Blink is only halfway done. We do have a couple of additional batteries. We need the DTs.
Oh,
the DTs are here. Can they make the difference?
Let's find out. The corrosive files have been big so far. You see a lot of the Stalkers in trouble, but the DTs will just go swinging on through the Ravagers. Don't get me wrong, there's not going to be a lot of Protoss left on the other side. The DTs will just not get rid of enough. So the Corruptors caustic spraying down the Nexus. The Overseer on the way, and Classic will never have enough to truly hold the rest of the Roach Ravager once detection is in play. He's without that Nexus any longer as well, and this game is all but done. As soon as this Overseer shows up, I wouldn't be surprised if we see GG and Solar taking a Game 1 victory in the semi-finals.
And what I absolutely love is that yesterday after his win, Solar said, like, yeah, CVP is a very difficult matchup, but I've just given it a lot of thought. I've practiced it a crazy amount, and I want to get it done in the Solar way. I look at Cyril, but I don't want it to be like that. And I look at Reina, but I can't really be like that. So I just want to get it done, and I believe I can get it done in the Solar way. But I kind of felt that Classic gave him an open opportunity here to be Solar, because this was a bizarre game, a very fun one to kick off this semi-finals. Torch is, of course, a unique map. Solar thinking he was going to get the gold. Classic in the end getting the gold. I am above all very surprised about it. I mean, there's a lot of things to be very surprised of, but that Classic, his work account was just so low throughout the entire game. Like,
I mean, there's a lot to get into when it comes to this game. Honestly, I really enjoyed the opener and the early game here for Classic, shutting down the goal base, taking it himself, going into the Tempest. He did go into double Stargate production. As a result, he did heavily delay his Twilight Council, so his ground switch was lackluster. The ground switch was meant to end the game, and it didn't. It didn't end the game. He moved out with the vanilla Stalkers, and we saw that Solar barely held on. After that defense, that was game. That was game. Then there, after he had shut down the initial Stalker push. GG. GG, well played.
But just took a bit too long, clearly, because by the time the bigger army came up, Solar was ready to play. And here he is now up 1 in this best of 7. In the bottom left from Falcons, it is Solar.
In the top left side of Persephone, we are looking at the main base of our Korean Protoss. He is down 0-1, but that was a very weird and unique game. Let's see if this one is going to be a bit more standard. To give it up for Classic. I did love it. From the beginning to the end, when we saw the high ground pylon, the high ground gate, we see
There's a 30-second delay. I think there's a natural delay
I love it. This is going to be a
of the stream and then of the Twitch stream as well.
There are definitely worlds where I see Classic win that, either with just some variations. Maybe I think above all, a quicker Twilight Council would have been awesome, but it's obviously easy to say in hindsight. Classic was never thinking about getting Blink. Classic was just thinking about, okay, I know that I'm going to force out a lot of Corruptors, and maybe after he makes all those Corruptors of a bad economy, he's going to drone up a little bit, and that's when I'll surprise him with a whole bunch of Stalkers.
The series already more entertaining than the other one. Did you not watch the previous series? Mate.
Up the ramp is like, hey, what's happening? Oh,
Solar vs. Cure was sick.
All right, I see a bunch of gateways. Takes a look at the gold, sees a couple of units being warped in, and I felt that truly kept Solar on his toes, but also kept him very ready for...
For now, standard openers, which is what we expect here on Persephone. Like winding it back here when it comes to how Solar does approach this matchup, he often does go for all-in, so we often do see a lot of all-ins, a lot of 3-base all-ins, especially out of Solar and ZVP. But because we heard that Classic does practice a lot against him, we're looking to see if Solar does deviate. Does he do something different, something more out of left field? Can he kind of lure Classic into a false sense of security? We'll see.
Let's hope we can keep that scouting up throughout this series, because we know Classic can be very pesky with those builds as well.
Stargate opener.
Definitely wanted to mix it up a little bit.
Standard opener out of Classic.
In the build-up to this event, but in the bigger matches, he will do so.
A couple of Zerglings on the way already.
Was the Gold Rush actually a bait? No.
He's going to try to sneak a few links to the other side of the map the moment that first.
So the intention of taking the gold wasn't to lose it and to force out Tempest and to shut the Tempest down.
What we actually expect in this best of 7, because it was thrown to us. We were hyping up the guys, and it got crazy and wild immediately in game 1. But historically, Solar does his best work of lair tech. Like, he's an incredibly good late game player as well.
So now they're getting into like the lair tech and the 3-base all-ins.
He loves his Hydras, Lings, Roaches, Ravages, and Banelings. He is less of a spellcaster enjoyer. Classic, of course, is known for his defensive playstyle, is incredibly good in controlling the late game Protoss army with those Archons, Tempest, Demolish Ship. So I do feel that it's going to be a perfect clash of styles, where I feel throughout the series, Solar is going to be that battering ram, just trying to get Classic out of the games, and Classic is going to warp in a lot of cannons, a lot of batteries, infinite amount of High Templars with Storms until the Grand Finals, and then the big question is, can Solar find that damage in the mid-game that he will be looking for? Because I have a hard time believing we'll see a single game coming out of Solar where he just sits back, rushes up to 95 drones, takes the entire map, and never attacks. Like, no, Solar loves to attack, Solar loves to trade and battle, set up surrounds, and kill probes.
Yeah, now from here, I would just echo what Roddy said, where like I don't expect to see standard macro play out of Solar at all in this series. It's just not how he approaches this matchup. That's just not how he plays PvZ or ZVP even. But what we can say, especially when it comes to a series versus hero, is he does have some cheeky Roach all-ins and Roach builds as well, as he's coming for a cancel.
That's a cancel on the third next.
Nicely done.
It always scares me when they wait so long. Game 2, semi-finals.
Ooh, early Twilight Council, classic.
I get it, you want to get a few more links, but if we lose that, not gonna say it's game over, but losing 400 minerals in minutes.
That Twilight Council was early enough that that could be Glaive Eps. We'll keep an eye open for gateways, and we'll see if he pulls out a gas. I say that 2 extra gases at the natural.
We'll have that coming up. No Forge or anything along with it.
No Forge. Late Forge.
This is looking fairly normal from Classic.
Okay.
Blink into +1. So the Queens do push these Oracles back.
As what he just mentioned, because a Forge just now gets thrown down, it looks more like +1 and Blink, less like Glaive Eps.
Not as clean in his early game defense.
There it is. Blink is on the way.
The other elite Zergs out there. Curious about this probe, by the way. Is there a world where Classic will actually get a pilot and gateway on the other side of the map just to follow this up with some pressure? Solar will often lose a couple drones, and he will just immediately rebuild more drones once he's happy with his drone count. From there on out, it is units, and he very rarely ever looks back. But 5 is too many. Honestly, 5 is too many. There are a couple Zergs out there that say the moment you lose 5 drones before minute 5, you should
German
just
taxi.
leave. Well, that's something you can do on the ladder.
Time to load up.
There's nobody watching, and there's nothing on the line. That's not something you ever do.
So Overlord Speed is on the way, Lair is on the way. This is going to be for Drop Lords, or at least it should be.
The series, because if we are not killing Oracles, but we're losing 5 drones against the first flyby, we're not going to win this semifinals. Not
yeah, we're
in
moving out.
Games. Once or twice you get away with it. Every single game, you'll not get away with it.
Yeah, you can't play with that deficit every time. There is a pylon going down, so we will have some aggression maybe coming in from that bottom right-hand side. The extra gateways are building up as well, so Classic is getting those numbers ready.
Here come the Dropper Lords.
Sola's getting the Dropper Lord build right at the front, in front of the units of Classic, and yeah, is that just a fake? Or, I mean,
this looks like a fake, yeah. He's droning. He's joining, taking gases, he's faking out.
To like 70-something workers after losing a couple of drones early, making a few links as well. He is clearly not expecting Classic to be aggressive. And I do love this from Classic, because we are talking about how strong he is defensively and how scary his late game is. And I'm sure that Solar is thinking of that as well. And it's like, all right, before I start attacking, let's make sure that I'm very rich. As a couple of the queens do hop out of that drop alert. But Solar's kind of faking this, right? He's like, Classic, I'm going to attack you, Roach Ravager Ling.
Yeah, as you mentioned, so he's faking an all-in, and he's droning heavily behind this instead.
He's going up over 80. If Classic actually commits to the attack that he was planning, Classic will be cooking. But at this point, Classic is probably thinking like, hey, in case he's pushing 40 Zerglings and 20 Roaches,
is he going to be dragged back? Does he recall?
Out, but he should probably just go for it. That cannon is not
Does
quite
he recall?
done yet, so we should be able to warp in
He
a couple of
defends.
units. I love the mind games here.
Solar's in trouble.
Solar, but I'm afraid for Solar,
He catches the queens.
Because those stalkers did go to the center of the map. They gone down that drop alert. They're going to pick off each and every single queen here as well. Now Solar is immediately hammering out as many roaches as possible. But this is going to be tough, especially with a 5th hatchery on the way, Wardy.
He's doing nothing
that's a kill. Oh, God.
He does have +1 missiles and roach speed.
That's a kill, not a cancel. He has a proxy gateway across the way. Basically, what just happened is that Solar, he faked an all-in to try to force Classic to be defensive. Classic, he called his bluff, and now Classic is snowballing out of control. He's snowballing out of control, calls the bluff.
That's just not going to do it. These
Goes
stalkers
for the
are so
kill.
much better than last game because they have that blink upgrade. They will get so much value here with stasis wards to fall back to, a reinforcing pylon nearby.
Remember, Solar, he was droning.
Classic is playing this with so much confidence, and can we really blame him? He got a couple workers in the early game. He knows that Solar faked aggression, so he's probably very high up on the drone count. He even sniped a hatchery in the middle of the map, and that's why Classic is confident. He knows all those little victories are adding up, and he's not just going to kill the 5th base, but he should be able to kill the 4th base here as well. That hatchery is very low. With a few more shots, we can get it. And if you're Classic, you can honestly just go back. Right here, you don't have to continue attacking. It's 3 base against 3 base. That's always perfect for a Protoss. Let's not do anything silly with all these stalkers.
Yeah, especially because it's been a little bit kind of nasty. Some of the biles have taken stalkers out throughout this. He's maybe had.
That's what he's saying. Like, a lot of biles have been connecting, so it's been a shaky attack here from Classic, but he has done enough damage.
But this is difficult. Going back up there, not going to be easy. Your stalkers can't all fight
He
at
killed
once.
2 bases.
He tries to come through.
Yeah, if Classic doesn't really want to do it, he's going to have to close his eyes and go for that forward blink, but that is so freaking risky, and it's really not needed. I think dancing around here forever, the bottom side is a bit tough. I feel like
behind this, Classic is expanding, and he should be taking up into splash damage. Whether it's Storm or Colossus, either one can work well here.
These oracles,
but he should be taking.
Solar would make a large 12 Zerglings.
I say should be because we can't see the production tab.
Acceleration zone, up a ramp as well. Oh. Like, all right, we're gonna get +2. We're going up to 4 bases.
And there's
Classic
Storm.
is thinking of the next phase of this game. Solar as well. So Solar is just going to try to once more get this 4th base in the bottom right side up and running, and we've got Hive Tech on the way.
Hive Tech on the way, Hydrogen over to Duns, potentially looking to just move straight into Lurkers here, which if you can get there, they're brilliant. Oracle's finding a chance to help out as a few more biles coming down.
I do love that, finding that tiny corner in the right side, away from that Spore Crawler, activating Pulsar Beam, gunning down a Ravager or 2. Solar is sizing up the army. He's like, man, you're so heavy on the Stalkers. If there is a world where I can get just a few Lurkers out with Seismic Spines, Adaptive Talents, I am no longer afraid, as the unit's lost resource step has shown us that this has been a marvelous game for Classic. Has done a really good job. Sure, he's lost a couple Stalkers here and there, but Wardy, 4,000 against 8,000. That's pretty extreme in a 10-minute game.
Especially in a game where you had a 5th base cancelled up, the 4th base killed. It's not like Solar has been commanded.
The 5th base was killed, as a reminder.
Lings getting introduced.
They were both killed.
Force these Stalkers back, but Storm is now done. +2 is about to finish. The tech is really here to help Classic out.
And here, as a reminder, the soup does lie. The soup does lie. Solar's supply is inflated because of Roach Ravager, so it's worse than what it seems. Likewise, the Zerg player typically needs a greater army to keep up with the Protoss, and Classic is yet to show his real hand, his final form, which is Storm. That's so many High Templar.
Reinforce that army in the bottom right side. But I think that army has been very, very successful. And I think that Classic got everything done that he was looking for. And now he can just enjoy the 4 base Protoss life. We saw all those High Templars, and we can use energy recharge a few times. Continue to upgrade these units. It's looking fantastic for Classic. Just needs to make sure he's ready for the Lurkers. Like, there is a world where it still goes wrong if he is on 40 Stalkers and a couple of Storms. If Solar shows up with 10 Lurkers and we don't have a proper answer for Lurkers, we don't have any Archons, we don't have any Immortals, it could still get a little scary.
Absolutely, right? It's kind of the one way which I really see Classic having a big weakness right now. If Solo gets in position, especially,
look
right,
at that.
you can just get those lurkers in a spot
It's
where
not
they're
here.
dangerous, where you kind of have to fight them as Classic or give up a base.
It's crazy.
That's why it can be really scary. Right now, these lurkers will try and set up defensively, try and protect this base, as Solar will come storming through. Has a lot of Hydras in this army as well, but remember, there's a lot of storms available. It's just the High Temple haven't caught up yet.
It's incredibly important for Classic that he stays a little bit active with his army now. Not because he necessarily wants to find the game-ending fight, but just push back the creep and make it difficult for Solar to move across the map. The longer this game goes on, the better it will be for Classic, as Classic has been rich. He's got a third Stargate, I believe, even on the way. The Fleet Beacon is done. We're going to need a couple Tempests eventually, as Tempests are a very reliable answer dealing with those lurkers. This is where Classic needs to be, and anytime Solo wants to come forward, that's where you storm him. There's really no need for Classic to run into those lurkers. Absolutely not necessary, but he does need to stay busy.
Yeah, as Roddy's saying, like, there's no reason to push into the bases. All he has to do is just posture. Just posture, just keep the creep at bay, poke in, get a storm here and there, and just excel and get into Tempest, get into Skytools, and outscale Solar.
And it makes it so difficult for Solar to get into those
one lurker goes
positions.
down.
We're talking about storms here will be great if we come up
Oh,
this
got
round.
killed.
And Solar's
Another
going to
storm.
eat them as he tries to fight forward. He is getting rid of a few of the
High Templar getting caught
They
out?
are dying off, so if
Okay.
nothing else, that's a big win for Solar. Lurkers on the left side do not get close enough overall.
That was 5 High Templar overextending.
Himself some breathing room.
Imagine if those lurkers would have moved a little bit further forward. That could have been a disaster for Classic. Nice job there by Solar, because Solar knows that he can't play this game forever. The longer it goes on, the more likely it is that Classic is going to have a perfect answer for those lurkers. Probe's not necessarily good enough. Tempest and Stalkers and a Zealot is good enough to shut down the first Nidus attempt. The beautiful thing about Nidus is, though, is that it's not always about can the Nidus come online or not. It's about keeping your opponent busy. And while your opponent is busy, they might mess up a little bit with that Stalker micro in the center of the map.
They're reinforcing High Templar.
Templars unattended.
Oh.
More Classic is
Lurkers do
doing an
punish.
excellent job in making sure any of those crucial arrows.
And we're making 3 Tempests at a time. That's a lot of Tempests.
We're making this many Tempests. Where the hell is +1 air weapons? We should have been at +2 by now.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Get some of those upgrades.
Gets an
Get those
expansion.
Tempests helped out. Do you lose a hatchery in the bottom right-hand side, unfortunately. The Prism will go down, but the hatch going down is an even better trade. And we just have Classic eating a couple of lurker shots, but overall has been doing very well against this. And again, with the hatchery going down bottom right, like Solar's never been comfortable in this game. He's constantly being pressured.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we're missing that they didn't point out is no +1. +1 air attack specifically for Classic. The upgrades have been missing, have been lacking. Even though he can't afford it, he has the money. He's max, he has the money for it, but he is lacking those upgrades.
Classic in this game, not just by the build or the choice and the execution, but especially the last 2 minutes. Knowing that this has been a pretty sweet game, but it could have gone wrong. If he just goes AFK there thinking like, I've got time, I'm just going to slowly transition, and Solar runs across the map, gets those lurkers in a spot where the High Templars were not quite ready to receive them. If Classic was
S9
forced
gets
to
one.
attack into Solar,
Gets
it
2.
would have been bad. It's so easy
Gets
for
3
us to
lurkers.
sit there and see everything and be like, Classic, you need to be active in the middle
4
of the map,
lurkers,
keep his army
jeez.
at bay, drop a couple storms, and make sure you don't overcommit. But he did all of it. The man made perfect choice after perfect choice, and I think he's getting closer and closer to tying this series up.
Yeah, these Zealots are becoming a big problem, right? Just showing up, getting some tech, getting some
Yeah, and
drones.
again,
Now going to lose a base on this left
Solo's been playing from behind for the past like 10 minutes. He's still trying to hold on, but Classic is just barreling his way through. Takes out another expansion.
Hydra kills on the picture-in-picture. Solo has a counter-attack, and that's the one thing Classic has to
there's
deal
a
with. But
recall.
if he wants to, he can just pull on back, and he's actually already recalled, so guess what? That's going to be a defense over here. He's done just as much damage as what Solo has done, and more.
Yeah.
So Classic is feeling very, very good, chasing down a ton of these expensive units on the tail end of this attack.
Solar is going to try once more to get his hands on that gold base on the right side of the map.
Yeah, some rough losses there for Solo. Solo, he lost lurkers back at home. He lost his Hydras across the map. He just lost another 2 bases and a mineral line. He does have the gold, and that will keep him in this.
Left side, kind of forgetting about it. The moment he picks up on it, though, we can just click a few zealots towards that gold. And I think Classic has done enough, buddy. We are very, very close to looking at a tied-up series. This was Zombie Grove earlier, as he said, that was fun, but I hope your series is closer. I was like, yeah, well, the games were pretty good, right? Classic, Sarah and Cure had very fun games. They were difficult to call, but of course, as StarCraft fans, you're always hoping for a bit of back and forth in the scoreline as well. And it does seem that that is what we are looking at over here. As Classic now picked up on the fact that there is a gold on the right side, and we can just warp in Zealots. They've got pretty fancy upgrades, +3 attack, +1 shields. We've got
Rico's into the main.
Rico in the main base as well, and I really don't know what Solar is
Yeah,
going to
doing
do
with this
against
flare path. Yeah.
Because he's got to run up this ramp, which is just going to get
Oh,
time
God.
warped as well, just to double down. And Classic, he's been enjoying killing Zerg main bases this tournament. He's going to get this one here. We are
Solo
try to go
through the
He
ramp.
has no choice. It's not like he has the freedom to play elsewhere on the map overall.
The Zerg
Storms
players
have been
look
beautiful.
away.
They are going to go off on the Corruptors, the Hydras, the Lurkers are not really in range. Classic just keeps pulling back, and Solar will exit this game with the GG, giving Classic game 2. And we are tied up in the semi-finals of EWC this year.
Love it.
GG, well played. Again, a very intense game number 2. As a reminder, this all began with a fake all-in. Remember, it was Solar. It was Solar going for a fake Drop Lord all-in, and he was joining up to 80 workers behind it. And if you remember what happened in the aftermath of that, or I should say as a response to that, Classic pushed. Classic, he did read that quite well, read Solar beautifully, recognizing that it was a fake all-in, that his opponent was being vulnerable, was joining, and that is why straight away, bam, Classic moved out. He killed the 5th and he killed the 4th base, and he traded with the army as well. He out traded. I think they pointed out, I think he had like double the efficiency of Solar in that early game, and Solar, he never quite recovered from that. Yes, Solar, he did get a 4th and a 5th eventually. Yes, he got into Lurker tech, but Classic was one step ahead the entire game. It was crazy. GG.
It just worked out a lot better for Classic. Classic was decisive.
GG, well played.
And picked up very quickly on what Solar was trying to sell him, which obviously wasn't really what was happening.
Yeah, as they mentioned towards the end there.
A really good job of just not overreacting. Like, he never threw down like loads of batteries or anything. He didn't do what Solar wanted, and if he did that, that would have taken the wind out of the sails of his attack. And Solar, in one of the rare occurrences that he doesn't actually just kind of hit in the middle.
So it's like, come on, man. Like, if I would have done this, you would have been so dead. Like, what are you doing?
True.
Yeah, it really is one of those funny moments where just like Solar actually did just draw it up. He goes against his image a little bit, and he uses his image to try and fake it out, and it just doesn't. Classic doesn't bite at all. And a little frustration there for Solar for sure as we enter.
But this time we do it for real. 51
True.
German taxi. Queens, Roaches, Ravages morning.
Queens, Roaches, and Ravages. Let's see as we start off on Incorporeal with the Red Zerg player representing Falcons. In the bottom right, it is Solar.
A 3-0 victory in the quarterfinals for that man over Hero. The top left side, and man who also got a 3-0 victory in the quarterfinals over the previous EWC champion, that was Clem. Can it be this man this year? It is Virtuous Pro Classic.
Let's go. But yes, I'm alongside them. They're like, you know, this time is Solo, this time is he gonna actually German taxi? I'm leaning towards it. Maybe not a German taxi, but another setup. Meanwhile, fake out by Classic.
Wait, did he go high ground or low ground? Sorry, I was so busy on intros and stuff. Nah, it's just low ground. We don't have a forge. He is faking it. He is really faking it, Marty. Oh, if Solar would cancel this hatch now and immediately go elsewhere, Solar will hate life. But
Okay.
Solar is not quite buying it
Nicely
yet. No,
done.
Solar is loving life. Be like, lol, you thought I was going to fall for that, mate? So Classic actually wasting 50 minerals and not really getting anything out of it.
Yeah, it's Classic with a little grimace there. He's like, oh, you didn't fall for my bait, huh?
So both players are really trying to throw the other guy off, but no one is really
The mind
biting,
games.
right? It's like in the previous game, Classic didn't take that bait of not building infinite amounts of batteries and cannons and being very worried. And this time Solar sees two pilots go up with his natural. He's like, good luck with that. If you want a cannon, go ahead, a cannon, my friend. And Classic's like, come on, man. If it would have been real, you would have been in trouble.
Yeah, sheer belief from Solar holds his ground. And we get ourselves set up on this game at 3. Prober nibbling, Overlord is scouting, Cybercore finishing as well. So we will start to see Classic choosing his tech options, which 9 times out of 10.
So debate master report. Yeah, yes. If you didn't quite hear, we were emphasizing that it was a bait out there. It was a bait from Classic. He was hoping to force an reaction, an overreaction.
Well, and that's something which Classic has shown us a fair amount. So that is a possibility. We could keep our eyes open for down the line.
We saw this map earlier in the tournament between Zaun and Raynor, and Zaun went for that cannon rush in the first game of that best of 5. Did manage to get the cannons up, but then in the end still didn't win the game. So maybe Solar just thought back of that game, be like, well, Raynor got cannon, he still won. So I guess if you want to go ahead and cannon, go ahead and cannon, and I'll just play it out in a different way, expand elsewhere, and we'll worry about those pylons and batteries once we get there. But
from here, we're expecting Solo to join up to 3 bases. I mean, we expected that in the last game as well, to up to 3 bases, then to give it to an all-in. We'll keep an eye on the overload speed timing. We'll keep an eye on the lair timing as well. So we'll keep an eye on Solar.
The previous game because he lost 5 drones against the first Oracle flyby, but it doesn't help. And throughout this best of 7, we are really gonna have to limit that damage.
A build that I really did like from Solar, if you remember, was in his series against hero on Incorporeal, he went for a Roach all-in. He went for a Roach all-in with a German taxi, and it was able to punish hero that was trying to rush into Storm.
That's way too many, Wadi.
No, absolutely.
But I don't know if Classics really want to do that.
It's like every now and then it doesn't matter. You win the game.
Early
anyway,
Twilight
right?
Council.
But, like, if you're just having that
Before
happen
third
every game
base.
in a best of 7, the odds just stack up against you. So
Glaives?
yeah, definitely try and tidy it up. Let's definitely try and be a little bit cleaner overall. That Twilight Council comes in nice and quickly here.
Yeah, it's really fast.
Oracle's popping and walking across the map.
Are you feeling Glaives?
We have that one Oracle. That Twilight Council is going to get put to use real soon.
Second Oracle is on the production up now, as Classic is also sending out a worker.
No Forge.
He does drop in a third Nexus at 3 minutes and 55 seconds, which is
Does he pull out of gas?
I don't see a Queen here. Queen is
If he pulls out of gas, he can go into charge. If he stays in gas, he can go into Glaives.
Oracle could still find a few workers. It's just one.
There it is, Glaive
But
Adepts.
annoying for
Let's
Solo,
go.
But it's completely fine. Resonating Glaive Adept already on the production tab, but that Overlord is just chilling in the main base.
It is right there. Can
True,
definitely
Solo,
get some
does he
keep
see?
going. Yeah, that Glaives is going to be coming straight on through.
I think he did, question mark.
Just has the chance to come by and see
He
what's up. Already
did.
saw the Twilight and so has a rough
Nice
idea
scout.
of when everything went down. Maybe all the pieces together a little.
So Sola, he's aware of the timing. From here, he should be going for a Roach Warren. He's going Lair first instead of Roach Warren. That is a little bit greedy.
A few more adepts than you expect as Ling Bane player, and if you take one bad fight with the Lings, you just left with
But he
Bane
still has a
Lings.
Warren,
It's
okay.
so easy to spread against it, so it makes a lot more sense for Solar to drop the Roach Warren. It's just a lot more reliable, and you should never do it.
This is a bit of a later Roach Warren, but at least he has it, so he will have the tools to defend.
Defense against these adepts, it's still about positioning, still about splitting them properly, right? Making sure that you do not get overwhelmed in one position or out-positioned by the speed of those adept shades or the trickery of the cancel.
Hey, did he see all of them there? Because we saw those 2 adepts, but I wonder if he saw the other 2 as well. As we warp in 3 additional adepts. This is quite early. It seems that the Oracle also protected this one adept that was in the center of the map. I was about to point out that that was a nice catch for Solar, because reducing the adept numbers with just a few links is amazing. The man needs to stop building drones, and he needs to start building a lot of roaches and links. And this could turn very well into one of these classic Solar games, where he's going to make a lot of roaches and links early on. He's going to lose a bunch of drones, but he won't be replacing those.
He's
drones,
going for
Wally.
it.
He will just go full speed, pedal to the metal, nothing like metal units from here on out.
He's going for the German
Let's see
taxi.
how clean this defense is.
Yeah, it definitely feels like he's
Send
got that
it,
aggressive
Pappy,
follow
send
because
it.
that Overlord speed's coming in. That will give him the drop lords across the map, right? So definitely feeling good. He does get a couple of adepts killed here early. The drones pull and there's roaches in position. So yes, we're losing units, but we are shaving that adept count down neatly. Now there are going to be more adepts showing up on the left-hand side shortly. Let's see how well we can do. A lot of these adepts are going to be dying, Roddy.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried for Classic, also because this is not going on for that much longer. I have the feeling that Solar is about to end this party once and for all. 5 extra gateways on the production tab, but we don't have double charge, we don't have Blink, we don't have a lot of cannons at home. I don't even know if we have a Forge yet. He is starting to produce Immortals, but the Queen count is high as well. That is a ridiculously important pylon, powering 4 gateways and the Robo. I think Classic is in a lot of trouble. Solar's army supply right now is already 63, and he is indeed never looking back. He has lost 12 drones. He has not replaced a single one of them. Nothing but battle units coming out of Solar, and I have a lot of belief in this Solar push, because very few people in the business execute these kinds of attacks better than Solar.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very sentry heavy, so we will have some force fields to work with, but the Ravagers are there, and this really is right now a sentry army with one or more.
It's going to be crazy if Classic can survive this all-in. It'll be insane.
So he's giving up a few units already. The Oracle very narrowly goes down. And that is going to give maybe Sol a little bit more opportunity as finally the roaches are here and it's time for him to hit into this main force. Let's see if he can get it done.
That pylon is so ridiculously juicy. If I was Solar, we'll go for it. I don't know how many Ravagers we have, but it'd be an absolutely amazing pylon to take out. So far, it hasn't gone too bad yet for Classic, as he does end up losing the Oracle there, Water, and that will sting a little bit. But I do love all the additional depths that he has warped in. The links of Solar are getting incredibly little
get the
done,
Queens.
and this Kronos army is actually holding its ground. Man, this is amazing. The Roaches and the Ravagers are having a very tough time getting in range of the battle. Feels like Solar just lost 40 or 50 links without killing anything.
Yeah, and the links really are the problem. Like, the Roach Ravager doesn't really die to the Adepts, but that was very well done by Classic.
That's crazy.
Chase the zombie down a little bit now. Force field's coming down. Solar just didn't really have the oomph with this push we were expecting it to really go with. Maybe he lost just a few too many drones at the end, didn't quite have the reinforcements. The Lings were trying to force some force fields, and Classic
the all-in
didn't bite there
fails.
either, so...
Was roach speed the big problem? Like, I feel like if we would have started that a bit earlier, and I know he lost some drones to the adapts, but I feel like if we want to go for this specific attack, we should have probably had roach speed done at that point. And I guess roaches without speed just suck off creep against sentries and immortals. They'll have a very difficult time getting in range of the fight. This is a lovely little Ling drop though coming out of Falcon Solar, and Classic decides to just battle with probes, which I'd say is ill-advised. That's the tiniest recall ever as well. I almost think maybe we could have wiped in a unit if we didn't have to use recall there. 5 probes against a couple Lings. Solar will take that. But the previous fight, I'm shocked by how bad that went. Perhaps without Zergling, or excuse me, without roach speed, it's just impossible to go for a committed attack like that.
Yeah, just going back on what they're saying here. I mean, Solar, he was 4 solo in, he was down in workers, down 20 workers for so long. Now Solar, he's re-droned, that is true, but Classic has had more mining for longer. He's had a better economy for longer here. Classic's not getting a 4th base as well. Classic is getting further ahead.
And he's just going to go for a round 2, it would seem.
Yeah, second all in.
There is no future in this game for him. There's no attack upgrades on the way, right? Evo Chambers aren't active. Just the roach speed finished, and we're just going to go with a larger army. But Classic's only like 15, 20 army supply behind that. Really isn't much when it's a roach-focused army from the Zerg. Adepts are showing up here, and that's a distraction that Solar has to contend with, and that's only going to weaken the push and the timing across the map that he's potentially looking for.
You're absolutely right, but I do think if we have massive temperature and we're no longer relying on Zerglings, a lot of these adepts will start falling off seriously, and even all those sentries are not going to be dead rate anymore, because Solar should have corrosive balls for days. We don't really have any Archons yet. The Stalkers are
Wave 2 of the all-in. He's maxed out on Ling Roach Ravager.
Still will, I think, where Solar can get something done, but it all comes down to the concave and the positioning. Ideally, a bit of creep for Solar to work with as well.
Yeah, he's done a great job trying to push this creep up the map as best as possible. A few Lings there going to be a distraction. He's actually going to get the chance to get up to this high ground
that's
here.
bad for Classic, I think. That's really bad. That army should not be in this spot already, because Classic's army is very strong defensively, but it's not the kind of army that runs into a Zerg army.
Oh my god, the force fields!
The force fields are very good though, and those roaches struggling to get away. Corrosive Bar's not quite coming in time to help there. So a lot of roaches going down. Those Immortals are having a field day against those roaches that keep getting stuck in the front.
Efficiency here with the force fields.
Putting in the work, but is there enough? Classic so far looks pretty good defensively.
Yeah, there's still 4 Immortals, or 5 even, that are doing their thing. I think
Classic,
only a single
oh my
one
god.
of those Corrosive Balls connected in a very juicy way, but Classic seems very confident in the power of this Protoss army, as the Stalkers are out there in high numbers. They blink to the low ground, which makes it very hard for the sentries and the Immortals to keep up. Corrosive Balls will continue to connect. Classic is playing this with an insane amount of confidence. Needs to be a tiny bit cautious, because if Solar would now show up with a large number of Zerglings, this army will suddenly struggle with Zerglings.
Yeah, it absolutely would, and Solar actually has still a lot of army supply in return. Like, Classic lost a lot there because he was running down and chasing it so aggressively. So, yes, it felt like Solar was on full retreat mode, and maybe that's not where Solar wants to be, but it wasn't all freely done by Classic, and maybe Solar will have one more attempt at shoving forward here. Obviously, as Storm comes up, it gets even more difficult for Solar to end this game. He still does not have a plan to play this a super long kind of...
Yeah, as I'm mentioning, the longer the game goes on, the worse it is for Solar. Like, he has no longevity here. He has to end the game here and now. He will get onto the 4th base.
Evolution Chamber, there is one, and he's starting +1 missile attacks now, but you know, that's not really an infestation. We're not rushing into Hive anytime soon. He is adding in the Bailingness now. It seems that Solar said, all right, either I get an all-out brawl and we'll see if we can win this game, or at the bare minimum, we're gonna knock the Protoss back to 3 bases. That is what he got done in the end. This is going to be difficult though, because if Classic's army continues to grow, more Stalkers, more Storms, and adds in a few Archons as well. I mean, Solar has pulled up some miraculous victories in the past. I remember a game against Hero here in Riyadh on Babylon, where I looked at Solar's army and I was like, I don't think you're going to do very well. And he just took an amazing fight with all the speed veins, connected with a lot of the High Templars, immediately remaxed, showed up again as a maxed out Zerg, and actually won a game that didn't really look all that hot. And that was an important game 5 to determine who was going to make it into the playoffs back then. A lot of Zergs would be incredibly worried. Perhaps Solar will look at this and be like, this is my comfort zone, you know? Going up against a bunch of High Templars, 3 base Protoss, lots of creep. I have all the basic units, no Hive tech. It's going to be difficult. It comes down to the Bailings, if you ask me, Waddy. If Speed Veins can connect with the High Templars,
getting out of hands.
Solar is allowed to dream. Without that,
9 drone kills.
Yeah, Solar's looking for that fight that's going to make the highlight reel later, right? You know, like that's what
could be a highlight of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. If he wins a fight with this kind of set of units, that's what we're looking for. He's going to try and come in from 2 sides. The Classic still has some force fields left. He doesn't have tons of sentry energy remaining, I don't think. But he has got Storm Energy. Getting this 4th base down would be lovely, but again, we just don't have enough wings to realistically do that. Classic has Nion maxed out. And once he's maxed out, I mean, Solo is still just Roach Ravager and I guess however many Balins we get going, which right now is only 3 on the way.
I feel Solar's best chance is to legit go for like 40 Banelings.
Yes.
Because he doesn't need a trade. He needs an incredibly convincing win and then never look back. Keep on sending it. Right now, he has nowhere near 40 Banelings. He does try to gun down a few of these High Templars, but he doesn't even get close. There are 15 extra Banelings on the way, but they were not ready for this fight. And that highly anticipated fight that we were dreaming of, that perhaps Solar was dreaming of, will never take place as Classic wipes the floor with some Roaches and Ravages, and it turns the tide of the series, takes the lead for the first time, 2-1.
Yeah, that just
GG, that was a crazy game. Winding it back here, as a reminder what happened here, Classic, he went for a Glaive Adept Ogre. He went for Glaives before the 3rd base, or I should say he went for the Twilight Counts before the 3rd base, and his opponent scattered. Solar, he saw the Glaive Adept build, he saw it coming ahead of time, and Solar, his response to it was to go for an all-in, was to go for essentially a 2.5 all-in on 2.5 base economy here with Ling Roach Ravager, with a German Taxi alongside that. What happened? The Adepts, they got damaged. The Adepts, they killed 12 drones. It was insane damage that the Adepts dealt, and the all-in was weakened because of that. Rotterdam was bringing up the fact that there was no roach speed, no upgrades, lack of reinforcements because of the deterred economy, because of the crippled economy, and I was so impressed by Classic's defense because he should have been punished. He should have gone down. They're asking for a break. He should have gone down 2 set all-in. Things are looking better there. If you remember, Solo was even the first to max out, but what do we always say? The soup does lie. The soup does lie. Zerg player can be up 30, 40, 50 army supply, but the Protoss army is more efficient with force fields, with better positioning, with better army placement on top of the ramp with the concave as well. The force fields were insane. We were also trying to point that out as well. The force fields completely sliced up the army of Solar, and Classic had an incredible defense. You could argue that he overextended. True, he took a little biles to the face after that, but he was far enough ahead where it didn't matter. Didn't matter. Again, Solar, he had no longevity in that game. GG. GG well played. With that, Classic does take a lead, and now we are getting into a break. Going to be going on a short break here. When we come back, we'll have our next game. We'll see you soon after the break. Oh, see you soon. Bye. See you soon.
Classic leads Solar 2-1 here in the semi-finals of StarCraft 2 at the Esports World Cup. He's 2 maps away from a grand final against Serral. Solar, though, has got those dangerous tendencies already and has got a chance to make this up in these coming maps.
It's been a very funny series in that regard, where I don't think in a single game Solo was truly able to just play his game and go for the kind of game that he had in mind and show us what he has planned. It's all been a little, okay, something crazy happened and now my hand is forced and I'll do X, Y, Z, and it worked out in the first game. Didn't quite work out in the 3rd game. I guess he really just did not want to wait for Roach speed, and he's like, you know what, if you make that many Adepts at home, you're going to have 1 Immortal and a couple of basic gateway units. It won't get a lot done. But kudos to Classic, man, for immediately warping in all those sentries, buying a lot of time, slowing that push
the MVP
down,
sentries.
and of course, having a lot of Adepts still at first, at home as well, just making it so much easier for Classic to deal with the Zerglings. And the Zerglings were so much faster than those Roaches without their upgrade, that what should have been a very difficult hold turned out to be a rather easy hold. And from there on out, Solar, of course, tried to make some stuff happen, but he was in so much trouble that he could not turn things around.
No, he could not. So we will get ourselves into this game number 4. And in the top right-hand side, we're going to be starting off with the Red Zerg looking for the comeback. It is Solar.
Trying to get it done the Solar way, as he said yesterday. In the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of the last Protoss in the tournament, representing Virtus Pro. It is Classic.
Get to
Okay, let's go. Welcome on all to Ultra Love. Ultra Love, of course, is one of the smaller maps in the map pool. Coming into this, once again, something like a German Taxi is expected here from Solar. Does he meet those expectations? Does he do something different? All-ins are favorite here. We'll see if he does go for an all-in.
Solar does kind of bring the aggression. That could be one of the ways he tries to utilize the map. Kind of push him pull Classic around.
Yeah, I think at this point it's important for Solo to not really overthink it and just do what you do best. Let's think back of this quarterfinals against Nero. Quick Hydras, links, banes, non-stop aggression. Don't worry too much. Of course, make sure that the first 4 or 5 minutes are clean. Let's not bleed out too many drones. But from there on out, send it. Play whatever you want to play with a lot of heart and commitment. No second guessing. And I feel like he did try to do that in the third game. I love like the ambition to immediately counter. I feel like a lot of Protoss players have been on the wrong side of a game 3. Like we just saw, where you make a few adapts and you shade them to the other side of the map. You're like, oh, I did decent, you know, killed 10, 12 drones. It wasn't even crazy, right? It wasn't like we killed 20 drones or something. I don't think that Classic was mega thrilled about the amount of damage that he got done. And in hindsight, perhaps if Solo would have just rebuilt those workers that he lost, he would have actually been in a pretty good spot. Because it's not like Classic can make a follow-up attack with one Immortal, maybe with like 2 or 3 and a War Prism. But that would still take a little while, and I think Solo would have been absolutely capable dealing with an army like that defensively. But I totally understand the excitement that Solo had, where he's like, hey, you made a lot of basic units. They didn't really get all that much done. If I now just run everything to the other side of the map, maybe I can surround the first Immortal. And it's just
I appreciate what Rotterdam's saying. He's saying like, you know what, I appreciate Solo's builds that he's been trying to go for, but he needs to turn the brain off and just ape it up. It's like, oh, okay. just commit to the all-ins that you know and love. It's, fair enough, fair enough. Since Happy, in your opinion, who has a better chance of beating Sarah in the finals? We did mention it already quite often at the start of the broadcast, at the start of the series as well. I do think that Solar coming into this day of StarCraft has the best chance against Serral, but it's all about can he get there, and we're favoring Classic coming into the series. But yes, I do think that Solar would have had the best chance against Serral.
You have a gate, then the Twilight Council follows up
Twilight
as well.
Council before Expand.
That's an early Twilight again, right?
Yeah.
3 minutes and 30 seconds, Twilight Council already done. This is a map where in the past, Classic quite often has gone for like an 8-gate Zealot opening. He's very fond of that. He's found a lot of success with it. I think worst comes to worst.
If he pulls out a gas, he can go into charge. If he stays in and go for Glaive Adepts.
Circus does not have enough roaches, or the Queens.
Solar does see the Twilight Council, true.
Lines, and there's nothing to save them from the Zealots just getting the wraparound and immediately slicing them up. Could be Glaives again as well. Blink would surprise me a tiny bit. Like this early of a Twilight Council to then go Blink.
Oh, wait, so my apologies. I thought the Twilight Council was part of the wall. My apologies.
Solar's going to try to figure it out, of course, himself. Ultra Love is a large map. If you start taking the corners and we're really splitting the map up in the late game, it can feel like it's a pretty wide, not necessarily wide open, but there's a lot of wiggle room. There are a lot of different attack paths early on when it's like the 3 base pushes.
We have spots on melee.
Like a truck. We can see from the first-person view of Solar, he's actually going for a +1 melee here, Marty.
Yeah, gonna open with that melee upgrade. Maybe feel like it's a good time. He just used the adepts, right? So maybe he doesn't do it again. Good time to kind of get away with that. Oracle, though, is gonna show up and he's gonna get some extra kills. Does drop a couple of spores. Queens get that defense made, but a little bit messy there from Solar in the end. Finally got some good damage on that Oracle, but took a little while.
That is Glaives.
It is going to be Glaives on the way from Classic's Twilight Council. Now the Baneling.
So a couple of scary things here. 1, 7 drone kills, and because of +1 melee, no Roach Horn is going for Banelings instead.
Quite often just make a lot of lings and a couple of Banelings at first, and then you hold the adept push, and then you just counter. You just march the Queens to the other side.
He's already here.
And answer for those Oracles, and you just keep on spamming out lings and Banes. I honestly almost feel that it would be better for Classic if he doesn't commit, if he doesn't throw away too many units. And he has spotted this building.
He saw the Baneling Nest.
No, it's a Baneling Nest, but let's just assume that it's going to be a Roach Warren. At this point, though, Samurai still building drones, Marty. These Banes are a little bit
Where are the
late.
Banelings?
This could get tricky.
It really could, because these Lings are just going to be on their own with these Queens right now. Going to run in, but that's a good block. There's no surround at all for the Zerglings. The Adepts take an amazing start to this fight. They will stick around right here as well. They're going to be choked up in the mineral line, and they will get some drones as well. Oracle does go down, so again, at least that grab, as the Adepts will continue to threaten the Shade and work on this third.
I wouldn't let the Shade finish up, because there are some Banelings, and you don't necessarily know where all the Banelings are, but Classic didn't decide to Shade into the natural, which I think is a good choice. He's going to go for the 4th. That is a lot of Adepts, so they have serious DPS on a hatchery. We can cancel that Shade again, and just like that, see if we can get a cancel on this hatch. That's going to be a close call. Good job by Solar, splitting up a single Zergling to activate this stasis trap.
Oh, the Queens
Baneling speed.
gets
It is
one.
hard for these Banelings to connect. Shade gets cancelled again. Classic is doing as
Oh,
well
God.
as more Adepts have shown up in the triangle. Classic is all over Solar at this point, and Solar needs to end this right here. We need to keep this hatch alive. I don't even know where we go from here. Now he's dropping a Roach Horn as well, which I'm a little bit surprised by. Oh man, this has been beautiful by Classic. Absolutely
really well done. As he does just minimize some of the damage taken here as well. 10 drones have fallen. It's taken a very long time to clean up as well, which is always a factor. Blink is almost done, and Soul is just going to try and drone on out of this one. Classic also has a Templar Archives down, so Storm can begin as well. And I really think a lot of this just comes from the fact that he lost 7 drones to the harassment, because then everything else is just that little bit delayed. That's the kind of damage you can't take when the follow-up is something like this from Classic.
Oh, he's not done.
We were watching Solar's first person view at that moment when those first 2 Oracles showed up, and I gotta say, I don't even know how that Oracle showed up again, right behind the hatchery. Where the hell did it came from?
Yeah, as they're pointing out, the Oracles got 7 drone kills at the start of the game, then into the Glaive Adepts, getting another 12 drone kills as well, trading against the Lings, trading against the Queens, denying mining time. The Oracle goes back in, there's no support at the third base, more drones going to be going down, and Classic is pulling Solar apart.
This is a tough one at this point for Solar, who is
28 drones!
12
Oh
roaches
god!
at this point. Plus 1 missile attacks on the way, Roach speed halfway down. Perhaps the Solar's best chance in this game, Wardy. It's just slowly max out with a lot of veins and hope for a dream fight. Similar to what was our last chance in that previous game. I don't really want to see him go earlier though. I really don't believe in that.
Yeah, it's just rough because we already have Blink Stalkers out, right? So going any sooner just kind of gives the Stalkers a chance to be aggressive already. He is just building Roach Ravager though, and I imagine it's as soon as that +1 missiles and Roach speed is finished up, I think that's just when he's going to send it. But there's already going to be storms to soften the Roaches up. The Stalkers should be able to trade well. Unless Classic starts getting mega greedy, I don't think what Soul's currently going for has much hope. He, again, needs something of a miraculous fight, or for Classic to come fighting into him, and he's just spamming units, right? And that could be the opening to take a good fight and then go launch himself across the map after.
Especially because we do still have that +1 melee, so the Lings are kind of cool. The Lings are also trying to
as I mentioned, right now, Classic is miles ahead. He's miles ahead, but if he attacks too soon, I mean, Solo's all in. He's all in. Solo, he wants to take a fight, so if he can take a fight on his side of the map, that'll be ideal.
Just building units, Wardy. A second robot on the way for Classic. Classic, his forces right now a little disoriented. They're all over the place. That means one of these Oracles is going to get picked off immediately. Oracle's low on energy. That's a crazy blink. Will it work, though?
Oh, we will see, because he just went straight on in there. He had some good storms, but the Stalkers taking a lot of damage as well. Now they're going to have to pull back a little bit. It does look like he's weathered the storm elsewhere, and with extra Stalkers showing up, that Roach Ravager force is looking a little bit lonely on the map. Do we have any reinforcements? Yeah, Ling's just going to keep running away, and Classic is chasing hard after those Ravagers. He's got a Prism here as well. Don't think that's going to come into play too much. He's also so close to finishing charge, and that should be a major part of playing defense.
Classic is just so aggressive in this series, man. He's making forward blinks. He's always in the face of Solar. He is not living up to all that praise of being the super strong defensive Protoss. He is willing to battle. He is just brawling, and he's fighting so much damage early on. He's kind of getting away with it. He's got some good storms, nice blinks, of course. I think the one was a little bit adventurous down the ramp, but it worked out. And the longer this goes, the better it is for Classic. Classic knows that Solar should have time, though, to max out the next time they're battling Wardy. We're not just looking at a couple Stalkers anymore. The Immortal count is rising, and I'm very certain that Classic has already rebuilt all those High Templars that he lost.
Yeah, as I mentioned, like, there is still a chance here for Solar where he can maybe have one really strong fight. Speaking of, he does get on top of the High Templar, and he looks like he may get one. Not even.
Good effort, but we didn't get a single one in the end. I don't get the idea, though. It did seem like an opportunity. We're just in the same place, right? 6 drones, a bunch of Roach Ravager, and Oracle daunting the Queens almost. And this time we even got Zealots up in the main base causing trouble that Solar is going to have to send, honestly, a fair bit to come and deal with. As Classic really does just continue to take control. 2 Immortals producing at a time to really buffer this army up and just make it to the point where, realistically, is there a fight Solar can take anymore?
He needs the Dream Surround, he needs the Dream Engagement. This is a spot that a lot of Zerg players will absolutely hate, and a lot of the pros will say, you're just dead, but Solar is going to try, and I've seen him pull out some miraculous comebacks. He really is excellent in getting value out of these armies.
He stayed to the storm.
It landed for the full duration in the heart of this Roach Ravager army. He is going to try to get one of these Immortals. This is an expensive army to lose for Solar, so I really hope for him that he gets a lot in return.
Does he
Does get a bunch of the Stalkers, now turns around, even guns down a High Templar. Obviously not everything he was looking for, but you can't say that he lost it all for nothing.
No, he did honestly get some pretty reasonable trades there, but I mean, this is now Classic just running across. He's got Zelt on the other side too, so it's not like Solo is taking no damage himself. He is so committed right now, and those Immortals are going to absolutely power their way through this. GG Classic is going to be up 3-1, and he is a map away from the World Championship match.
And he's playing like a man on fire.
GG, well played. Again, just a really strong start there from Classic. I do really like what they brought up in the fact that Classic is known for being really defensive and really turtley. At least that's where he can lead a lot of games, but that is not how this series has played out. Every single game, Classic, he's been the aggressor in his own way. We've seen a lot of Glaive Depths. I mean, that adds to it, right? We've seen a lot of Glaive Depths here twice now so far in this series. We, of course, saw the Corki build in game number 1 as well, but Classic has been finding damage. He's been crippling Solar early and punishing him early and maintaining that momentum.
Unless you're working with strong, well-upgraded Hive-Tech units, but that's not the case. Solar is trying to live up to what he has done best, and that is be aggressive as a Lair-Tech Zerg with a lot of those basic Roaches, Lings, Ravagers, and a few Banelings. Not finding the openings that he's looking for, and he doesn't really have the numbers. Normally with those pushes, Solar should show up. We saw that yesterday in his quarterfinals. Heroes at like 38, 40 army supply, and that's where Solar shows up with 90 or 100, and he just has these crazy swarmy numbers. Classic is not letting it happen.
No, he's not. Classic is also just playing in ways which we're not super used to seeing Classic playing, right? He's not just playing for the fast storm and playing the big defensive style. He's like, hey, I'm going to keep it aggressive. I'm going to keep you on your toes. I'm going to take it away from you, maybe, you know, what you maybe have prepped for me, because you might know that some of your builds are really good if I'm being a little bit greedier. So I love that from Classic as well. Like I said, coming in, I felt like he might mix it up a bit from what we've been seeing from him in the build up to this event too. So fun stuff. Let's get into the top left-hand side as we have got the last life for this man in the top. Can he save his tournament here? This is Falcon Solar.
In the bottom right side, the man that all the gamers were talking about, he's just gonna sit back at Blink Stalkers, get a couple storms, make a lot of cannons and batteries. Well, in this semi-finals, he's showing us that he's capable of a whole lot more. It's Virtuous Pro Classic.
Here we go, and welcome on to Pylon. Pylon, of course, is another one of these maps that has a shorter rush distance by ground, where aggression is favored. Here, we 100% expect to see aggression and all-ins out of Solar, but once again, Classic has been dictating the pace of this game, every game so far.
That was okay, but it just means that Classic is getting further ahead, because he's always developing his tech tree, and Solar's just kind of stuck working with these basic units that are not going to have that big power spike anytime soon.
Does make it a little bit awkward as we just have the probe showing up early this game, so just force that hatchery off to that right-hand side.
So again, for the past 2 games, we've seen the Twilight Council be 4-3rd into Glaive Depths. I will say that if the Glaive Depths fail to get damage done here, if he goes for the same build, then he'll be punished a little bit harder. So I don't like the idea of going for Glaive Depths on Pylon. I feel like the chances of Solar being ready for it and punishing it is a lot higher on this map, but we'll see.
That remains to be seen.
Just hope that he can actually get up to like 50+ workers once without already being behind. And that has just been the story of these previous games. The first game was very weird because of the way that Solar went through open and Classic his response. And in the end, Solar just had a right answer for that weird little Tempest build. And then these few Stalkers that were going to try to end the game. But the other 3 games, they've been a bit more normal. They've been a bit more standard. But it's just Classic getting ahead, getting further ahead, becoming stronger and growing. And Solar's just like, well, this is kind of it. You know, we don't have Hive Tech. We are not seconds away from Lurkers or Adrenal Glands on the links. Like, no, it's basic units, and their strength is in numbers. The numbers are not really there. And yeah, that makes it incredibly hard for Solar to embrace the swarm. If we're looking at a 10-20 army supply lead, that's often not going to cut it for the Zerg, especially if we're not playing Hive Tech.
Yeah, it's been rough for Solar, just not getting where he wants to be. His attacks just never really having that power behind them. Even the one game we really thought it was going to against those Adepts, it was just, nope, not a thing.
So far, standard openers, we're just waiting for the tech of choice.
Straight away.
We're waiting for the Twilight Council, or we're waiting for an early Evo chamber.
Come down because last couple of games, it has been fast. So we'll see if he wants to repeat that a 3rd time now, or if he really is going to ready to kind of move into a more defensive style overall.
You do wonder, right, in the previous game on Ultra Love, I really don't hate the idea of opening up with +1 melee there and having a Baneling Nest, but then we need to make Banelings ASAP. The moment that Baneling Nest is done, we need, and not just 2, we're going to need a few more. We're going to need to leave 2 behind in case they shade there, and then you can try to engage with Lynx, Queens, and 3 Banelings, but the Banes were just a bit too late, and that made the entire defense so much more difficult and so much more complicated. So this is it for Solar. Not quite tournament live on the line, as we'll see him again in a 3rd place match, but of course he's not too excited over that one. This man wants to play in his first ever grand finals of the Global Championship. It is so important for Solar to keep it clean, keep it tight in the first 5-6 minutes. Losing a drone or 2, completely okay.
Early Twilight Council.
7 drones against those first Oracles.
So this Twilight Council was later than last time, but still early enough to still be Glaive Adepts.
So far it's been fine, but of course the Oracles are now teaming up.
Gases are being taken. We're looking for a Forge. If there's no Forge soon, then there should be Glaives again.
Later than what we've seen in the previous couple of games, and Gas is onto the natural as well. Going to go to 4 gas nice and quick. As the Adept warps in there, the Queen's going to push the Oracles back, so you wanted a clean opening. This is going to be it for Solar for now.
But I was really love from Solar now. If you take a look at the Overlord position below the main, I wish that he just puts like a single Zergling there on patrol. That makes it so much easier to keep track of these Oracles. But Classic this time, maybe a tiny bit indecisive, feeling the pressure of this semi-finals. There was technically a little opening there to go.
Going into Blink, okay.
Microed a little bit, and this is what Solar needs. It may not be the most exciting thing ever, but for Solar, this is really exciting.
No drone kills.
0 drones and getting a bunch of shots up on these Oracles. Exactly the start that the man from Falcons was looking for.
Yep, it's going to be so much better than what he's had before. We'll see if he can continue through with it as he just gets a chance to draw. He's going to hit that 50+.
I believe this is a 6-gate setup.
And then choose what he wants to do. Does he just want to spam out units?
So right now he's getting up to 6 gateways. He's getting a Forge, late +1. If he throws down 2 more gates, he could turn this into a 3-base all-in.
A little further down the line and ensuring that he has the units first, which is not a bad approach against someone like Solar,
Classic,
where you probably do need a good unit count ASAP.
Solar going up to 4 bases. Having that hatchery there is nice, by the way, because that will also give you a tiny bit of extra map vision. So if those
my eyes are going to be on the 3rd base of Classic for the Gases.
You know where they are. You could potentially try to intercept them. Classic is already moving out. Blink is halfway done. We don't have
Ice taking. Okay.
Yet, as far as I know.
Standard game out of Classic is building up.
Solar's not forgetting that upgrade. Getting a few units out here early is nice, but he needs to start making sure we can protect that hatchery water. It has been a clean game so far.
Poking in.
Now Solar needs to make sure that he can get on top of that. Perhaps a few too many links to activate that stasis trap, but it's all good. The stalker numbers are not that high yet. These Oracles are low on HP. I want to say that Solar should be fine.
Yeah, he's absolutely fine. I think he was even lurking with the other links, thinking, hey, can I get us around? Can I maybe punish those stalkers? Not going to be the case. They checked across the map as well, but nothing there. They're going to run out, and that's going to give the Lings an access point, so in they go, and an opportunity here for Solar as Classic realizes the mistake that was made.
Yeah,
Classic pulling a hero
position, and I love that Solar saw it, right? That means that he's sharp, he's dialed in, he sees the Adept leave its spot, and actually forces a recall, I believe. It's still
and do you see what I see? Solar's not joining. Solar, he's not joining. He's going for the all-in. German taxi.
From any pressure, Classic was thinking of applying.
And this is the best setup for a German taxi that Solar has had the entire series. We've seen this fail throughout the course of the series.
I hope for Solar that we're going to send it in typical.
But this time, like, he has a solid economy
with a 50-60 army supply lead, because that's what he's going to need for if he wants to win this game.
Yes, he really is. I mean, it's going to be time to just go. He's already about the 40 army supply lead, so looking for a bit more. Rogue speed finishing, Overlord speed finishing. It's go time in the next few moments. Storm is going to be done though, Roddy. So we are going to have some Storm to soften things up on the way in. Does Classic have enough support for that? He'll also have +1.
Yep, now Classic definitely has the tools to potentially defend it, but it's still going to be a monstrous Zerg army. And
there
then
we go. Cannons on the way, shield batteries on the way.
Where are the batteries? And Classic will
we're about to test the defensive prowess here of Classic. He's known for his defense, he's known for turtling up, known for his defense, his late game, his shield of ire, if you will. The new stats. Can he hold on though?
Pretty weak. There is a lot. I love to see a couple Zerglings in there. Great blink by Classic. The initial storms are quite good, but Solar has a lot of units. He's looking to get through that stalk and does get through it.
Yes, we got the Ling Road Ravager trying to come through. He do still protect the natural wall for the moment. The Stalkers keep on fighting the High Templar. A couple go down, but we are continuing to trade well with the Stalkers. Lings do drop by, so that's going to be something Classic has to deal with while defending at the front. But he has so many Stalkers, and with good blink control, he should not be losing too many of these. The Road Ravager will try and do what it can, but it's mostly Ravagers left, and they are going to be low HP, low armor units that go down very quickly. Classic only lost 3 probes defending against the Ling, and he is pushing Solar away.
There was a cannon in the main base mineral line as well, so that little Link drop didn't get a whole lot done. The Oracles are still alive as well, despite the fact that Solar had a lot of queens. It looked promising for Solar, it looked good, but Solar tried a few too many things. Bust open the natural, fight the main army, and Classic in the end had an answer for all of it. The Storm's connecting with so many Zerglings. Classic may need to be a tiny bit careful on trip linking forward. That is a hold, that is an incredibly successful hold for Classic. And Solar will be kicking himself. Look at the HP, by the way, on that cannon. That's such a good cannon for Classic. If he does not have that cannon there is no way that he doesn't end up losing 6 or more workers against those Lings, and it will give Solar a little bit of extra power.
So what's scary about what just happened, that was the best all-in that they had the setup for. Like, out of this whole series. Like, he didn't lose a single drone, didn't lose any workers in lead-up for the first time in this series, and this hit as hard as it could have, and despite that, Classic holds, and now Classic's running away with it. That Classic has a greater economy, he has a better army, plus tools on the way, Storm is on, of course, more models building up as well.
Pushing forward here, Solar gonna go for another wave of this attack.
Solar, I mean, here comes that second wave.
Trying to protect this location. First Storm goes dead center on the Roaches. That's a good amount of splash done already. Might want to use the next Storms if the Lings try and force their way onto that army. We have to cancel the base, but Solar's, 59 drones still. Classic doesn't need to rush to base 4.
No, that's not something that Classic knows. If Classic would see what we see, he'd be omega relaxed. He'd be like, well, here we go, up 12 workers, I've got an upgrade. You don't even have a single upgrade on the production tab. No hive tech. These Oracles, that is a good scout, by the way, for Classic, where he's like, hey, you got this base a while ago, you've got no drones at all. Either that was the earliest drone pool in history, or I am flying in this game, in game 5 of the semifinals. And if Classic wins this, he will advance into the grand finals, and we'll see the rematch of the match we had earlier in this event, where Sarah, of course, is the one who's waiting in the grand finals. Solar is going to be able to max out. He's adding in a few more drones now. The biggest problem is it's 0-0. We have no banelings. There is a world where he gets it done.
Yeah, again, as they're pointing out, like, this is a very subpar army from Solar. The Soup does lie. Soup does lie. 0-0 upgrades for Solar. He has no tech. He has no lurkers, no hydras, no spire, no nothing. It's purely Ling Roach Ravager.
So dive on the left-hand side, an opening for Solar perhaps, as he tries to get in here to get some
gets into the mineral line.
Back into this semi-final. Tournament life on the line, and it might come down to this right now. Classic blinks forward. He's looking to see what he can do. Zealots and Immortals just stuck in the back, not helping at all. So Classic doesn't take the prettiest fight of all time, but he's just got that much stuff that he blinks on top of the Roaches, and they are going to be in trouble. The High Temple on their own on the right side.
Yeah, he defends without even Storm. That's crazy.
Realizing, I think, that this is not it, as he is going to be in so much trouble in this game. GG. Congrats. Classic is going to the grand finals.
What a performance by Classic. What a hold here earlier against all those Roaches and Lings and Queens in the mix as well. But he blinked the Stalkers in that choke point, making sure those doors were shut. Lings did not get anything done in the main base. And in the end, he gets it done. He even had finishing up as well. Kind of like that final move there by Solar, trying to attack where Classic was not. Maybe he can gun down that Nexus and at the same time get something done at the 4th, but yeah, Queens off creep, we're not going to get it done. A heartbreaking loss for Solar, the man who's had such a beautiful career and was a best of 7 away from playing a...
Yeah, GG, well played. Again, like, that was I would say that was the most dominant game from Classic, just because everything went as best as possible for Solar. When it came to the early game, when it came to the economy, when it came to the Oracle defense as well, like, again, everything was lining up for Solar. Defending well, he had a good economy, he had 60 workers, he had his 4th hatchery just for Larva, he committed to the all-in, but last, he could not break through. He could not break through. As I pointed out, maybe splitting up a little bit too much in between the bases, but GG. Strong showing by Classic.
At the Esports World Cup. How very exciting. Classic going to be one match away from being a world champion. Let's see how he feels about that over on the stage.
Talk to us.
Thanks so much. I'm down here with Classic, the first Protoss to make it to the grand finals in 3 years. You've done it, Classic, and in that last match in beautiful fashion. At what point did you realize that you were pulling ahead? Because it was clear to our casters, but you stuck in it, and so did Solar.
일단 김도호 선수 승리 축하드리고요. 일단
I hope they ask him about game one. Like that's in my mind more interesting. About the craziness that was game one.
사실 강민 선수가 많이 몰아붙였는데 좀 어느 순간에 승리를 확신하셨는지 궁금합니다.
첫 번째 공격 맞고 나서 굉장히 유리하다고 생각했고 그래도 방심하지 말자라는 생각으로 하고 있었고 그렇지만 이제 마지막 공격을 막았을 때 너무 완벽하게 막아가지고 그때 승리를 직감해서 너무 기뻤습니다.
Yeah, I knew I was ahead when I defended that initial push, but that being said, I didn't want to let my guard down because it is still not over. So I think when I defended the last push, that was the moment I won. Yeah, that's the moment I realized I won.
Well, it's good of you to keep your guard up there. Going back to game one, just a quick look back. That was the only time you didn't bring quite the standard play. And that is the only time that Solar was able to take a game off you. So what did you learn in game one?
이제 사실 1세트 빼고는 거의 대부분 어떻게 보면 운영으로 다 이제 승부를 하셨잖아요. 사실 그래서 1세트 때 좀 빌드를 쓰셨던 게 먹히지 않으면서 강민 선수에게 한 세트 내주셨는데 그때는 좀 어떤 점이 좀 아쉬웠을까요?
일단 폭풍함이 오버로드에 걸린 게 굉장히 아쉬웠고 저도 거의 처음 접하는 상황이어가지고 이렇게 연습 때 나온 상황이 아니다 보니까 저도 많이 당황해서 일단 폭풍함을 오버로드에 걸린 게 가장 큰 페인이었던 것 같습니다.
Yeah, I think Overlord spotting the Tempest was the breaking point for me because I haven't experienced that situation, so that rattled me a lot. So I think that one, that's the point that I fell off the wagon.
Well, your exceptional play taking you to the grand finals now. Tell us how hard you have worked for this.
이제 결승전에 드디어 진출하시게 됐는데 정말 이 결승에 오기까지 정말 얼마나 노력을 하셨는지 말씀해 주시죠.
그냥 최근 한 4, 5개월 동안 저는 제가 연습을 거의 제일 많이 했다라고 생각하고 거의 밥 먹는 시간 빼고는 진짜 스타트만 했던 것 같아요. 그만큼 이번 EWC를 바라보고 정말 열심히 했기 때문에 이런 좋은 결과가 있었던 것 같고 그래도 이제 최종 목표는 세계 챔피언이기 때문에 한 경기 잘 준비해서 꼭 챔피언이 될 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
Yeah, I've been pretty much grinding myself for the past 4 to 5 months. And I think I pretty much play StarCraft 2 unless I'm eating or sleeping. So that being said, I'm pretty much sure that this is a time to be a champion. And this is not over yet, so I'll try my best to lift the trophy.
Well, you've certainly got a tough match ahead. You'll be facing off against Cyril in the grand finals, but by eliminating a Falcons player, you get the perks of the EWC Heroes Club for a day. So you get to enjoy some VIP treatment in between. Do you think that rest is going to prepare you? And do you feel like you're going to take this final?
이제 클럽 챔피언십 우승팀 팔콘스 선수를 또 잡고 결승
like, yo, we got a private VIP bar, you know, we got a massage table ready for you.
그래서 좀 그런 충전 시간이 좀 도움이 많이 되실지 궁금합니다.
Okay.
네, 아무래도 3, 4위전이 있기 때문에 그동안 또 빌드를 생각할 수 있고 휴식을 취할 수 있어서 매우 기쁘고 뭐 짧은 시간이지만 잘 준비해서 결승전 최고의 모습을 보여드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
Yeah, getting a rest time in the meanwhile is very sweet because there's also a third place match. So I will try my best to
the wrist massage. That's
trying to lift the trophy.
That's what you want.
All right,
the
Classic, we'll
massage.
let you get that rest in. We'll send it back to the desk to take a look at that historic match.
I'm reminded of if anyone remembers Pro League CJ Entis, Coach Park, he would often, because Hero was the ace player, we would often like pan over and you'd have Coach Park and the assistant coach like massaging, you know, like taking care of like Hero's like hands and wrists and like getting him ready for his match. Let's go.
Impressive fashion here in the semi-finals. Joining me, State, as well as Artosis, to talk about this one. State.
That's peak GSL. Sorry, that's peak Pro League. Peak Pro League.
What a series that was. Solar came into this one looking so good, ZVP versus Hero, and I was kind of expecting Classic to play the same defensive style that he's been using to kind of ride this wave of momentum into EWC.
A league that gives best of 7 to Cyril at 84%. Do you think it's
strategies?
It's that favorite given Classic's recent form. I think what's really important about Classic versus Serral, which now we have confirmation is going to happen, which we did assume was going to happen. There's a lot to discuss. Is that if you were here during the group stage, you would have heard Serral's interview. I think it was a really insightful interview, not just Serral's interview, but also Lambo's insights coming into Serral series versus Classic. They already played in the group stage. Serral already beat Classic, and if you were here for the interviews and here for Lambo's thoughts, he spoke about how Serral has been grinding and practicing a lot after DreamHack Dallas. Basically, Classic beat Serral in the late game in DreamHack Dallas. After Classic beat Serral, Serral got in a lot of custom games with who was Showtime. It was Serral and Showtime. Showtime was doing a lot of customs with Serral and working on Serral's late game and working on his PvZ, and we saw that come into play in the group stage, with Classic going for that more defensive style, embracing more of that late game, and Serral shutting him down. Now, Serral was being aggressive. Serral was cutting corners. He was seeing when and where he could get away with droning, hyper droning, maxing out, and then punishing Classic. It was a really terrifying series from Serral, is what I will say. So we spoke about it after the group stage, that after that series, Classic would have to adjust, would have to change things up a little bit, because clearly going into the late game is not going to work the same way as it did in DreamHack Dallas. And we saw that here, which is my concern a little bit, but here we saw that Classic was really aggressive against Solar, except for that last game, right? We saw time and time again, we saw a lot of Glaive Death builds. We saw a lot of Glaive Death builds against Solar, catching him out, giving Classic a lead early on, allowing him to end the game early. Classic was pretty aggressive this series, which we have seen from him in the past, except for the final game where Classic was that wall, was that defensive, or was able to show off that defensive prowess that he's known for. We saw that in the last game on Pylon. So again, he's showing us that he's at least willing to go for these Twilight Council openers, or I should say Stargate into Twilight Council into Glaive Adepts, willing to be aggressive, and I feel like he needs to mix that in a lot more against Serral. This is why I still do favor Serral for sure, especially because of what we saw during the group stage, what we heard about his practice coming into this. It's going to be on Classic to mix things up here. I would not want to see him go into Glaives as often as he did here against Solar, but he's going to have to mix it in and come up with some other quirky and unique builds. I think an example of that is like Tempest Rush that we saw on Torches. Something crazy like that could be really nice to throw Serral off. But being more defensive, and turtly, and relying on your late game, I don't think that is going to be something that Classic can rely upon against Serral. Not anymore. Not after what we saw during that group stage as well. But we'll see. We'll see. Best of luck.
In that series where he was in a
bearing in mind that we're going to be covering Cure versus Solar first.
In top form, just barely getting edged out by the best Protoss player in the world. I think it's going to be a superb third place match.
How about yourself, Artos? What do you think?
I'm having a hard time figuring out who I even think is going to end up winning that one. That is a very close match. It's an excellent match. Can't wait for it.
Maybe it'll end up being a very important one in terms of the club championship points as well, because obviously Team Liquid is in the hunt for big points. Falcons are previous club championship winners. So as we take a look now, though, at the Key Crush, Classic will be crushing yet another one. I think you're right, Dan. I want the orientation a little different, so we could see like different kind of crushes. Like we only get that little bit kind of crushing each time.
Yeah, I would like some different types of hydraulic presses. I'd like to grind it into dust. You know, we should have several different ways. Oh, look at that. No flinch. Oh, no. Sarah's in trouble. That was the least flinch I've seen.
That was
the entire
least
week.
Flinch. Yeah. I thought Serral's prior was the least flinch, but now Classic's just one-upped him. What do you make of that?
You know, I was kind of torn between Solar versus Classic when I saw the handshake leading into the match. I was kind of okay, Classic, he's probably got this one. He's looking a little more confident. After that press, maybe, man.
Maybe. A best of 9 is a funny beast, right? Because we just don't do them in StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, like we did it last year, and obviously it was a bit one-sided in favor of Clem. He's not here anymore. Serral is now the return back-to-back grand finalist here at the Esports World Cup. So he has some experience in best of 9.
yeah, and he has some experience in World Championship finals as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty experienced at this point. But the thing is, Classic's been around forever. He does have some very prestigious tournament wins under his belt.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to be like panicking or anything. He's been a pro gamer a lot longer than Serral. But the one thing that is for sure, after this best of 9, we are going to see who is better at this matchup.
100%, yeah. I mean, if somehow Classic can overcome what we saw in the previous series versus Serral, because I was a little bit blown away that Serral was going to be able to take that 3-0 against a Classic that looks really in form. You look at that RSL, you look at that GSL, right? Like, that should give you credence enough to say he's going to be able to hang, but that 3-0 kind of stung.
Yeah, it was a painful loss there to Serral, but I have to say, Classic, he came into EWC looking really strong, and somehow, miraculously, over the course of this tournament, I just keep getting more and more confident in his gameplay.
Yeah.
People were saying that he's probably the favorite to win coming into this one, and I'm not sure I completely bought it, even though he did look like the best Protoss player.
So right now, they're talking about Serral versus Classic in the group stage. They're talking about how strong Serral was looking.
Can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I should also emphasize as well that series was 3-0 in favor of Serral, and Serral was looking like it was not a close 3-0. Like, we spoke earlier about Cure versus Serral, how Cure versus Serral, it was a 4-0, but those are really close games. Those are really close games, and Cure was often ahead against Serral. Again, when it came to the Serral versus Classic series, it was nowhere near as close. It was nowhere near as close. Like, Serral was looking very informed and very in control of that series, which is what was scary about it, for sure.
Now that he's here against Serral, I give him at least 50% to win.
Either he wins
Well, that's
or he
high.
doesn't.
Jesus.
50%.
50%. That's how it goes.
That's a high number, Artosis. 50%.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
It's crazy.
Right, we're going to go to a short break. When we return,
But you're flipping
we have
coins
got
for Classic
ourselves the
versus
third
Serral?
place
That's
match on the way.
insane.
Again, it is a best of
My
7.
God.
The difference is $20,000, and of course those.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. I think they were talking about
points here at the Esports World
Tournament, but Clem there, he just 4-1 Solar, who like 3-0'd.
So I think he's talking about Cure versus
what more
Solar.
proof do you need? Like, this guy I chose as the favorite coming into the tournament, but now that he's here against Serral, I give him at least 50% to win.
Either he wins or he doesn't. 50%.
50%. That's how it goes.
I'm glad we got.
I had to run it back because I was like, oh, I think he was talking about Solar versus Cure. That makes more sense. No, he was talking about Classic versus Serral. 50%?
Ourselves the
Mate,
place match on the way.
You're
Again,
wild.
it is a best of 7. The difference.
All right, we're going to be cutting to a break, and we'll see you guys soon. After the break, it's going to be the third place match, the bronze match between Cure and Solar. See you soon. See you soon after the break. See you soon. Bye. See you soon.